Welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast, where we believe it's never too late to start building your wealth through real estate. I'm Sarah Mitchell.
And I'm Mike Reynolds. We're really excited to dive into today's discussion because, so many people think that investing in property has to start when you're young or when you have a ton of money saved up.
Right, but that's just not true. We're here to share some practical advice that can help anyone, especially those over 40, to navigate the real estate landscape and find opportunities that are right for them.
Exactly. We're going to talk about how to assess your financial situation, the importance of setting clear goals, and some strategies for finding the right properties, even if you're starting from scratch.
And we'll also touch on the mindset shift that's often necessary when you're embarking on this journey later in life. It's all about empowering you to take those next steps confidently.
And we'll share some real-life examples, too. Because hearing how others have done it can really inspire you, right?
Absolutely. It's all about making those first moves and understanding that you don't have to do it alone. There are resources and communities out there ready to support you.
So let's get into it. First up, let's chat about how to evaluate your current financial standing and what that means for your investing journey. Sarah, it's really interesting how many people over 40 feel like they've missed the boat when it comes to investing in real estate. But in reality, it's often just the beginning of a new chapter.
Absolutely, Mike. It's like you've got all this life experience, and now you're looking at your retirement timeline, and it's a little daunting, right?
Exactly. And with the way things are shifting in the market, it's crucial to think about how property can really play a role in your financial security. Inflation is rampant these days, and it can erode your savings if you're not careful.
Right. So for someone in their 40s or even 50s, it's not just about saving for retirement anymore. It's about how to make your money work for you.
For sure. I had a client, let's call her Linda, who was in her late 40s. She had a decent savings, but was worried about the rising costs of living and how that would affect her retirement plans.
That's a common concern, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Linda decided to invest in a rental property, and it wasn't just about the cash flow for her. It was also about having a tangible asset that could appreciate over time.
And I bet that gave her a sense of control over her financial future, too.
Exactly. She felt empowered knowing she had something that could potentially outpace inflation. Plus, rental properties can provide a steady income stream, which is vital as you approach retirement.
Right. And it's not just about the numbers. There's an emotional side to this, too.
Absolutely. A lot of folks don't realize how much peace of mind comes from having that financial security. When you know your investments are working for you, it reduces stress,
And it's not just about you, either. There's also the aspect of wealth transfer to family.
Spot on. Linda's goal was to create a legacy so she could eventually pass down that property to her kids. It's not just about securing her future, it's also about providing for the next generation.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. And it's so important, especially in today's economic climate, where the younger generations are facing different challenges.
Yeah, they really are. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and many young people are struggling to get into the property market. So, if you can create that opportunity for them, it's huge.
Imagine being able to help your kids buy their first home. That's a game changer.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the current market trends. With interest rates fluctuating, now might actually be a good time to jump in, especially if you can lock in a favorable rate.
That's a great point. And while the market can be unpredictable, real estate tends to hold its value over time.
Right. The key is to think long-term. Even if prices dip, history shows that they usually recover.
For someone over 40, that long-term perspective can be really liberating.
It sure can. I often tell my clients that investing in property is like planting a tree. The best time to do it was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now.
I love that analogy. It's all about nurturing that investment and watching it grow.
Exactly. And there's also the benefit of tax advantages that come with real estate investing.
Oh, definitely. Things like depreciation and mortgage interest deductions can really help maximize your returns.
For sure. It's another layer of security. You've got your asset growing in value, and then you've got these tax breaks that can help you keep more of your hard-earned money.
It sounds like a win-win situation.
It really is. And let's not forget about the potential for equity building.
Right. As you pay down the mortgage, your equity increases, which can be tapped into later for other investments or even retirement funds.
Exactly. I had another client, let's call him Tom. He bought a duplex a few years ago. He lived in one side and rented out the other, which helped cover his mortgage.
That's a smart move.
Yeah, and now that he's nearing retirement, he's sitting on a significant amount of equity. It's given him options. He can sell, downsize, or even leverage that equity for another investment.
And that flexibility must feel really empowering for him.
It does. And that's what I want people to understand. It's not just about making money. It's about creating options for your future.
And the beauty of real estate is that it's a tangible asset. You can see it, touch it. It's not just numbers on a screen.
Exactly. It's a place where families create memories, and that adds another layer of value that's hard to quantify.
So it sounds like the bottom line is that starting to invest in property after 40 can be incredibly beneficial, not just financially, but emotionally and socially as well.
Absolutely. It's about taking control and building a legacy. And that brings us to some core strategies for getting started in real estate investing. So let's dive into some core strategies that can really make a difference, especially if you're just starting out later in life. One of the first things I always tell folks is to understand the 1% rule.
Right, the 1% rule. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure. The idea is pretty straightforward. You want to aim for a property that can rent for at least 1% of its purchase price each month. So if you buy a property for, let's say, $200,000, you'd want to be able to rent it for at least $2,000 a month.
That makes sense. It's a quick way to gauge if a property is a good investment or not, right?
Exactly. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a great starting point, and it can help you avoid properties that seem appealing but won't actually generate enough cash flow.
And what about the 50% rule? I've heard that one tossed around too.
Ah, the 50% rule. This one is about estimating your expenses. Basically, you should assume that about 50% of your rental income will go toward expenses like maintenance, property management, and taxes.
So if you're looking at that same $200,000 property and it rents for $2,000 a month, you'd expect to spend about $1,000 on expenses?
Exactly. That would leave you with $1,000 for your cash flow, which is a good baseline. It helps you to be realistic about what you'll actually take home after those costs.
And I guess that leads into understanding cap rates too, right?
Yes, the cap rate is another good metric. It's the ratio of a property's net operating income to its purchase price. So if we take that same property with a net operating income of $12,000 a year, and you bought it for $200,000, your cap rate would be 6%. You just divide $12,000 by $200,000.
So a 6% cap rate is decent then?
It can be. Typically, a cap rate of 8% or higher is considered good, depending on the market. But it's important to compare it with similar properties in the area you're considering.
Got it. Now, when it comes to financing, what are some options for people in our target age group?
Well, there are a few paths you can take. Traditional mortgages are always an option, but you might also consider using cash, especially if you've built up some savings. Some investors look into home equity lines of credit if they already own a home.
That can be a great way to leverage existing assets, right?
Exactly. Just be cautious, though. You don't want to overextend yourself. It's about finding that balance.
And what about different property types? Are some better than others for beginners?
Generally speaking, single-family homes are a good starting point for many investors. They tend to be easier to manage and sell. Plus, they usually have a larger pool of potential renters.
What about multifamily units?
Multifamily can be a great option too. They tend to generate more income, but they also come with more management responsibilities. If you're up for it, they can be very rewarding.
So it really comes down to your comfort level and how much work you're willing to put in.
Absolutely. And don't forget about market research. Understanding the local market is crucial. Look at trends like rental prices and vacancy rates.
Right. And I imagine checking out things like the job market and school districts can help too.
Definitely. A strong job market often means a steady demand for rentals, and good schools can attract families, which is another plus for single-family homes.
How do you go about evaluating a potential deal?
I like to use a checklist. Start with the basics: location, property condition, potential cash flow, and then go deeper into the numbers. Factor in your financing options and what your exit strategy is.
Exit strategy? That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's important to think about how long you plan to hold the property. Are you looking for long-term appreciation, or do you want to flip it for a quick profit? It can drastically change how you evaluate the deal.
Got it. So you really need to have that vision laid out before making a purchase.
Exactly. And keep in mind the importance of due diligence. Make sure to inspect the property, understand any potential issues, and look into the neighborhood's future developments.
That all sounds so practical. But what about the common pitfalls?
Oh, there are definitely some to watch out for. One big one is not having enough cash reserves. You don't want to be caught off guard by unexpected repairs or vacancies.
That's super important. It's like having a safety net, right?
Exactly. You also want to be cautious about over-leveraging. It can be tempting to take on a lot of debt, but it's crucial to know your limits.
And I imagine not doing enough research would be another pitfall?
Absolutely. Skipping due diligence can lead to costly mistakes. Always do your homework before diving in. It's better to spend extra time up front than to regret it later.
That's such solid advice, Mike. I think our listeners will appreciate these practical insights.
I hope so. It's all about setting yourself up for success and making informed decisions.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Thanks for sharing all this valuable information.
So, one common pitfall I see a lot of new investors fall into is over-leveraging.
Oh, definitely. That can be such a slippery slope. I mean, when you're excited about your first investment, it's easy to get caught up in the moment and, think you can stretch your budget a bit more.
Right, exactly. I remember this one client of mine, let's call him Tom. He was so eager to jump into the market that he took on a mortgage that was, way beyond his comfort zone.
That sounds risky. What happened with Tom?
Well, he thought the property values would keep rising, but then the market shifted, and he found himself with a property that wasn't appreciating as he'd hoped. Suddenly, he was struggling to make those mortgage payments.
That's tough. So, what would you say are some signs that someone might be over-leveraging?
Good question. A big red flag is if you're stretching your budget just to get into a property. If you find yourself saying things like, I can make this work if I just cut back on my expenses, that's a warning sign. Also, if you're relying heavily on rental income to cover your mortgage, you might be setting yourself up for trouble.
Yeah, and it's so important to have a financial cushion, right?
Absolutely. Having reserves for unexpected expenses or vacancies is crucial. That leads us to another common mistake: bad tenants.
Oh, the tenant situation can really make or break an investment.
Totally. I had another client, let's call her Lisa. She was so excited to rent out her first property. She didn't really screen her tenants properly, and things went downhill fast.
What happened?
Well, it turned out her tenants had a history of late payments, and, they didn't take care of the property. After a few months, she was dealing with unpaid rent and costly repairs.
That's so frustrating. So how can someone avoid that situation?
Screening is key. You want to check references, look at their rental history, and maybe run a credit check. It's not just about filling a vacancy quickly. It's about finding the right fit for your property.
Makes total sense. And what about cash flow? That can be a tricky area too.
Yes, cash flow is everything. I often see investors who focus too much on the property's potential appreciation and ignore the cash flow aspect.
Right, like they're dreaming about future profits instead of ensuring they can cover their current expenses.
Exactly. I had a client who bought a property that seemed like a great deal because it was in an up-and-coming neighborhood. But he didn't account for the high maintenance costs and property taxes. Suddenly he was cash flow negative.
That must have been a real wake-up call for him.
It was. He learned the hard way that you need to carefully analyze the numbers before making a move. It's all about understanding your expenses versus your income.
So what kind of calculations should someone be doing?
You want to look at your monthly income from rent, subtract all your expenses, like mortgage, property management, maintenance, insurance, and then you can see if you're actually cash flow positive.
And if you're not?
Well, then you need to reassess. Maybe consider renegotiating the rent, or even looking for properties that offer better cash flow from the get-go.
That's a good point. And speaking of reassessing, what about timing the market?
Timing the market can be a real trap. I've seen investors wait too long for the perfect moment to buy, and they end up missing out entirely.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can predict the market perfectly, right?
Exactly. I had a friend who kept saying, I'll wait for prices to drop. But by the time he finally decided to buy, the prices had gone up significantly, and he lost out on great opportunities.
So what's the best approach then?
Look at it this way. Buying a property is a long-term investment. It's better to get in and start building equity rather than trying to time the market perfectly.
That's a really good perspective.
And remember, even if the market dips, if you've got a solid investment, it can recover over time.
Yes. Now, what about hidden costs? I feel like that's something that can surprise many new investors.
Oh, absolutely. Many people forget to account for things like closing costs, maintenance fees, and even property management fees.
It can really add up, can it?
Definitely. I had a client who was shocked when he realized how much he had to spend on repairs after moving in. He thought he was getting a great deal, but there were a lot of hidden issues that hadn't been addressed.
So what can someone do to uncover those hidden costs early on?
A thorough inspection is key. Always get a professional inspection done before buying. And don't just assume everything is in good shape because it looks nice on the surface.
Great advice.
Plus, it's smart to budget for those unexpected repairs and ongoing maintenance so you're not caught off guard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if someone finds themselves in one of these tricky situations, what's the best way to recover or avoid these pitfalls in the future?
Well, first and foremost, take a step back and reassess your strategy. Learn from the experience, whether it's improving your screening process for tenants, being more diligent with your budgeting, or just being patient with your investments.
That's such a positive way to approach it.
And, consider seeking advice from experienced investors or even hiring a mentor. It can really help you navigate the complexities of real estate investing.
Absolutely. So it sounds like being informed and prepared is key to building that long-term wealth.
Exactly. It's all about education, patience, and having a solid plan.
Perfect. I think that's a great note to transition into how our listeners can take their next steps.
All right, so let's dive into some immediate steps that anyone can take, no matter where you are in your real estate journey.
Absolutely. I mean, it can feel a bit overwhelming at first, but if we break it down into smaller, manageable pieces, it becomes a lot more doable, right?
Exactly. So the first thing I'd recommend is to start analyzing deals. Just pick one deal a week. It could be a property you're interested in or just something you find online.
That's a great idea. I think a lot of people forget that practice is key. The more you analyze, the better you get at spotting opportunities.
Right. And speaking of analyzing, there are some fantastic tools out there that can help. For example, check out the BiggerPockets calculator. It's user-friendly and really helps you break down potential cash flow, expenses, and returns.
Oh, I love that one. And if you're looking for something more visual, DealCheck is another great app. It lets you analyze properties on the go, and you can even share your findings with other investors.
Definitely. And don't forget about Rentometer. It's useful for checking rental prices in a specific area. You can quickly see if a property is priced fairly based on the local market.
That's such a handy tool. And if you're looking for a more comprehensive view, accessing your local MLS can really give you insights into what's currently on the market.
Absolutely. And while you're at it, consider reading some books or listening to podcasts that focus on real estate investing. The book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner is a classic.
Yes, and there's also Real Estate Investing for Dummies. It's a little more basic but super informative, great for anyone just starting out.
And let's not forget podcasts. BiggerPockets has a fantastic podcast that covers a range of topics and real-life success stories.
They really do. Hearing those stories can be so inspiring, you know? It helps you realize that it's possible to succeed, no matter your background.
Exactly. And building a habit of continuous learning is vital. Set a goal to read one book a month or listen to a few podcasts each week.
That's a great habit to cultivate. And don't overlook the power of networking. Joining a local real estate meetup can really expand your connections and knowledge base.
Yes, meeting other investors, sharing experiences, asking questions. It's invaluable. Plus, you might find a mentor or a partner for future deals.
Right! And if you can't find a local meetup, consider starting one yourself. It might seem daunting, but you'd be surprised how many people are looking for the same thing.
That's a great point. Just take that first step. And remember, you don't have to dive in head first. Start where you are, with what you have.
Exactly. And even if you're not ready to buy a property yet, you can still start building your knowledge and your network.
Yes! And if you're feeling a bit stuck, try setting small, specific goals for yourself. Like, this week, I'll analyze one property and attend one meetup.
That's so achievable. And it'll give you a sense of progress. It's those little wins that keep you motivated.
Totally. And don't forget to keep a journal or a digital note of your findings and thoughts along the way. It'll help you track your growth and learning.
Oh, I love that. It's a great way to reflect on your journey. Plus, you can look back and see how far you've come.
Yeah. And one last thing I'd suggest is to connect with a financial advisor who understands real estate investing. They can tailor advice to your individual situation.
That's so important. Having a professional guide can really help you make informed decisions.
So those are some practical first steps. Now let's bring this all together. Well, as we wrap up, let's just recap a few key takeaways from today's conversation.
Yeah, I think the first big point we touched on is that it's really never too late to start investing in real estate. You can begin building wealth at any age, right?
Exactly. And we talked about the importance of setting clear, realistic goals. Knowing what you want to achieve helps you stay focused and motivated.
Right. And also, we emphasized the significance of doing your homework, researching your local market, understanding your options. It's all part of making informed decisions.
Not to mention, networking and seeking guidance from experienced investors can be a game changer. Building that support system is key.
Absolutely. And remember, it's all about taking those incremental steps. You don't need to dive in head first. You can start small, build confidence, and expand from there.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, real estate is a long-term game. Patience is crucial. The wealth you build won't happen overnight, but with diligence, it definitely pays off.
So for anyone tuning in, if you found value in today's episode, please give us a like and subscribe. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. What was your biggest takeaway, or is there a question you still have?
And if you know someone over 40 who's interested in real estate, share this with them. It could really help them get started on their journey.
Next time, we're diving into a fascinating topic, house hacking. We'll explore how you can live for free while building wealth. Sounds intriguing, right?
It really does. So be sure to join us for that.
Thanks for being with us today. We hope you feel inspired to take that next step in your investing journey.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.